From the stage of the Cass Theater in Detroit, Texaco service stations and dealers from coast to coast present the Fire Chief Quartet. Don Voorhees and the Fire Chief Band. Graham McNamee. And Ed Wynn, the perfect fool.
Yeah. I'm the chief tonight, Graham.
Good.
The program's going to be different.
Chief, I'm glad to see you. You know that tonight you look 20 years younger.
Well, I should look 20 years younger tonight, Graham.
Yeah?
Yes, this afternoon I looked over my books and I found out that I'm back where I was 20 years ago.
Chief, you're having a lot of honors bestowed on you lately, aren't you?
Oh, yes, Graham. I even went to a political convention the other night. And they let me throw out the fake bull.
What kind of a speech you make, Chief?
Oh, I told him, Graham. You know me when I make a speech.
Yep.
I told him I was in Washington a week before last. And I told him...
What'd you tell him?
I told him that I saw a pocket flask in the seat of the government. That's what I told.
Well, what about it, Chief?
Oh, I told him in my speech, I said, people who carry it in glass bottles should not sit on stones. That's what I told him.
Good. Well, what happened then, Chief?
Oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Some heckler in the audience called me a herring.
What'd you do about that, Chief?
Well, what would you do? I answered him right back.
Right.
I said, what do you mean by calling me a herring? Am I my brother's skipper?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. And at the finish of my speech, Graham, I really said one brilliant thing.
What'd you say, Chief?
Oh, I said, am I talking to the man in the street? I said, you know how those
Yes,
political
I know.
I said, yes, I am talking to the man in the street. The conditions today, I said, prove one thing.
What was that?
I said, what this country needs is a good 5-inch cigar butt. That's what I
Well,
said.
Chief, how are conditions around the country?
How's that, Dick Graham?
How are conditions around the country?
For instance, they're using midgets for waiters.
Why?
Well, that's so the portions of food will look bigger, you know.
That's enough. You've got me, Chief. What's the music going to be?
Well, the trouble with this country is that the morale has been dismantled. You must admit that, Graham.
Absolutely.
So I think we ought to sing the new Dismantle song.
The name of it?
The name of it is, I've Got to Love Dismantle, I Die.
I saw you in the fireman's parade yesterday. Yeah. You were playing an oboe.
No, that was no oboe, Graham. That was my fight. That's a good play.
What was the trouble, Chief? I noticed they took you out of line during the drill.
Yes, Graham. I was in a sort of a drill pickle there. You know what I mean.
How did you and the rest of the company happen to split?
Oh, you shouldn't use the word split, Graham.
Why not?
Split is a horrid word. Especially when it happens to your trousers, Graham, you know.
Was that company of sailors that your uncle was leading? Who were they?
Oh, they were all Spanish War veterans, you know. Spanish-American War.
Was your uncle with Dewey when he took Manila?
Oh, of course he was, Graham. He was with Dewey when he took Manila. But my uncle took chocolate. He told me that lots of times.
Oh, Chief, say, what broke up the parade? I saw a lot of fellas run out of line.
Well, in a way, Graham, that was my fault.
Why? How?
when you hear this, I'll tell you why the parade broke up.
Yeah.
You see, I was walking along with him, and I happened to say we are now passing the finest speakeasy in town. And one of the fellas said, well, you may be, but we are not. He said, and they broke out of line and they ran right in there.
I saw them go in, Chief, but why'd they turn around and run out of the speakeasy so quickly?
Well, Graham, that was the funniest thing that I think ever happened. I'll tell you why they ran out of the speakeasy. My uncle, when they got in there, he ordered some lamb chops with roast and cheese dressing, you know.
Yeah.
And the waiter hollered out. You know how waiters hollered out?
Sure.
Well, of course, when the fellas heard the waiter hollering it out, they ran. They misunderstood him.
How was that?
Well, the waiter yelled out. He said, cheese at the chops.
That's I'm sure. Go on. Tell us what the music is.
Well, we're talking about speakeasies. Let's have the new speakeasy song.
Yes. What is it?
The name of it is Ale, the Gang's All Here. Let's
Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the champions of the West. Hail, all hail, the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the champions of the West. Valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the champions of the
My goodness, there that goes again. There it goes. You've just heard the radio symbol of Texaco Fire Chief.
Yes,
Gasoline.
I know, Graham. And when you hear that musical note again, it will be the right time.
Well,
for me to leave.
No, Chief. It'll be the right time to change oil.
Yeah?
Now is the time to drain off that dangerous summer-worn oil and refill with the correct grade of Texaco crack-proof motor oil. Then you'll be sure that your car is protected against the colder days to come.
Oh, I see. You know, you're right in a way, Graham.
I'm right.
Everybody must watch these fellas. Once knew a Russian, Graham, with a long beard. He went to bed, Graham, and right by an open window, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It started to rain, and his beard got wet. And then it turned bitter cold, and his beard froze on him, Graham.
Yeah?
Now, here's the terrible part about it.
What happened?
He tried to turn over in bed, and he broke his neck.
Oh, never. Never mind that, Chief. Never mind that. If your uncle hasn't changed his oil yet, remind him to do it tomorrow.
I will.
When your serviceman asks, may I drain off that summer-worn oil? Say yes. With the correct grade of crack-proof Texaco motor oil, your car's all Texaco flows with the first turn of the starter.
But, Graham, my uncle never had trouble with his car in the winter.
How's that, Chief?
Well, I'll tell you, every year at this time, Graham,
Yeah?
my uncle misses a couple of payments on his car, and the finance company puts it in storage for him.
sending back to you the things you sent to me. Your daydream, your gay dream, your glad dream, your sad dream. Just don't forget, will you, that memories haunt me too. Here's what they want me to do. Go on, just doing my best to forget. Remembering you.
Now, Graham.
Let's have an opera.
All right, we'll have an opera. Tonight's opera, Graham, is The Poor House Behind the Hill.
That's the name of it. That's a great opera.
Oh, it's a very sad opera, Graham.
Sure.
For instance, the heroine never had any luck. She is a stenographer, you know.
Yeah.
And all her bosses were so bow-legged, she keeps falling through their laps. Now, she has no front teeth, Graham. She has found life just a bowl of cherries. And she's broken her teeth on the pit. Well, she is a country girl. Now, listen, Graham.
I will.
She's a country girl, and she came from that part of the country where the wide-open spaces are men's heads. Well, she's a very poor girl, Graham.
Yeah.
In fact, when her father died, all he left her was a bottle of gin. It was a sort of a boot legacy, you know. And she has no money. When she arrives in New York, Graham, she engages a nudist apartment. Even the walls are bare. Well, she loves to play the slide trombone. That's her interest. But her room is so small, Graham, she has to keep a door open to play it. And her first day in New York, she travels around the city. She's absolutely crazy about the town, you know. She's extremely fat, too. But that night, she goes to bed tired but hippie. Well, she started getting fat, it seems, just 1 year before. And as the opera opens, Graham, she is celebrating the 1st anniversary of her birth.
That was nice.
So, in the next room is a very poor young man. He is a singer, Graham.
Yeah.
He sings beautifully in the bathtub. But you can tell by his neck that he's out of practice. Well, you know,
Tell it, Steve. Go ahead.
the boy is fascinated by the girl's trombone playing. So he calls her on the telephone. He says, I love your playing. Will you play the Gigolo song for me? And she said, what's the name of it? And he said, the title of the Gigolo song is The Spirit of 70 Sheep. No! She says, I don't know that, but I'll play the song about the plasters that you use for the backaches and lumbago.
What is it?
Well, that's where the play really gets the big song from which the opera gets its title, you know. That's where she plays the famous plaster song, Graham. Over the hills to the poorest. Play that. The boy walks into the girl's room. She is surprised, and she gives him a bacon stare. And he sits down on it. He says, you paid me sing, and I paid you play. Says, I love you. I'll go through fire for you. And she says, well, you should. You're not so hot. Well, the boy tries to kiss her. She pushes him, she pushes him right away. Things look black for the boy. But suddenly the lights go out and things look bright again. Oh, there's one. The boy says, though we are very poor, we can still be happy. So he orders a stein of beer, and they make a loving cup of it. It is love at first sight. Well, she says, what do you do for a living? And he says, well, my father is an inventor. He invented a famous shoe last. I wonder if you've heard of it. And the girl says, well, I've heard the shoe last expression. And he says, what are you talking about, the shoe last expression? And she says, well, this is what I mean. The expression. Shoe last, best. And she says, well, my father, too, was an inventor. What do you think he invented, Graham? You better sit down. You'll fall over laughing at this one.
Turn your over now. Go ahead.
He says, my father was an inventor. He invented a waterproof toast to put on the post steak. I'm only starting this. Now, wait a minute. So the boy says, speaking of food, you're quite plump. You should watch your calories. And she says, I sit in them, twice in them. And he says, what do you mean you sit in the calories twice a week? And she says, well, I go to the theater twice a week and I sit in the calories. And he says, that reminds me. Will you play the trombone, and as I sing the song, we ought to sing the new calorie song. The name of it is Calorie Me Back Too Old to Sit Here. And she says, well, I don't like that song. But as we've been drinking beer tonight, it reminds me of the new homebrew song. Well, you understand. What is it? He says, what's the name of the homebrew song? And she says, you ferment for me. Wait. Boy, Steve, I'm dying. Yes. So the boy, he says, well, I don't like that song. No, they compromise. And what do you think happens, Graham?
I don't know.
She plays and he sings a beautiful spiritual. The famous Hosanna song. You know the name of it?
What is it?
The name of it is Hosanna Body Here Seen Kelly. Play that. Good, but they still love music, you know. She asked her husband if he can tell the difference between Chopin's music and Handel's music. Yes. And he says yes. Yes. So she plays a few bars, you know. Mm-hmm. She says, now, are those bars Chopin's? And he says, no, those are Handel bars. This is too much for her. She says, oh, that settles music. Let's go to the movies. Mm-hmm. There's a picture down there called The Essence of Gin. The husband says, what are you talking about? That's not the essence of gin. You mean the breath of a nation. No! The next day, listen to this, Graham. The next day, the husband is looking for work, and he decides to get a job in a bank. What do you think he does?
What?
He starts to look for a bank that can give good recommendations. So he meets the president of the bank. The president says, you want a job, do you? On what basis would you work? And the husband says, well, when I was in school, I used to play the first and second bases. The president says, do you drink? And the husband says, yes, but first let's talk about the job. The husband returns home only to find, now listen, Graham, he finds on his arrival home that the stork has brought he and his wife twins.
Beautiful.
The wife says, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll call the twins Sears and Roper. Because they are of the mail order. Go on with that outfit. Yeah? The husband says they look so much alike. Let's call each of them Willie. We'll call both of them Willie.
Yeah.
Now, The twins cried for 3 days, and the father can't sleep, Graham.
What did he do?
The wife says both of the Willies have the grip. The wife says both Willies have the grip. And the husband says, oh, well, if they have the grip, I'll get them a couple of railroad tickets, and you can send them wherever they want to go. The next day, to get away from the two little Willies, the husband goes to the zoo. The keeper asks him if he'd like to see a new stork that just arrived at the zoo. And the husband says, for heaven's sake, no. He says, I hate storks. They're what gave me the Willies.
Time of year when you get the biggest kick out of a car.
Oh, I know that, Graham, but it's the rule. Men don't get kicked out of cars, you know.
No, Chief, I don't mean that. I mean the thrill of the open road on these brisk autumn days. With Texaco Fire Chief gasoline in the tank, you get real action. What power, what speed. Why, the Fire Chief gas, you just can't help going places.
Oh, well, I believe in that, Graham.
Right.
It was so beautiful yesterday, you know. I jumped in a taxicab, and I told the driver to drive any place. And when I got in the cab, I fell right asleep.
I'll bet you had an awful taxi, Bill.
Oh, no, Graham. I knew before I got in the cab I was going to take a nap, you know.
Yeah.
So I left the calls for $1.50.
Chief, look here. Chief, I want you to be serious just for a moment.
Yeah, I will.
The point I'm trying to bring out is the Texaco Fire Chief gasoline was first developed for fire engines.
You said that before.
It's more powerful than ordinary gasoline, gives greater mileage, and as far anti-knock quality, it has an octane rating that's outstanding, Chief. Really. And last but not least, by any means, it's the quick-starting gasoline for cold weather. That's Texaco Fire Chief. Sold in all our 48 states at no extra price. Wherever you see the Texaco Red Star with the green tea.
Green tea, is that with 3 more lemons?
Oh. Now, Chief, you don't understand a thing in the world but horses.
Oh, I admit that, Graham. I love horses.
Horses.
I think we'll have Don play the new song about horses. You'll never get the title.
Well, what is it?
The title?
What is it?
Here's the name of it. Who's that knocking at my door?
And the proprietor told me that his entire company of actors was composed of his own children, and that every one of them had been born aboard his showboat on the Mississippi River. If this is true, don't you think it is unusual? Signed, Mississippi Mud.
Dear Mississippi Mud, that's not unusual. You say all the actors were his children.
And you say they were born on the Mississippi River. All I can say is that the man had spread his cast upon the waters. I think I can get it. Oh, here it is. Here's one from Hope Bluff, Nebraska. Here, Chief. When I comb my hair, gobs of it stay in the comb. Yeah. I would like you to tell me the best way to avoid falling hair. Signed, Goldilocks. Dear Goldilocks, the best way to avoid falling hair is to step nimbly to one side. Oh, here's one from Cleveland, Ohio. This is all I've got time for, Graham. I'm going to play Cleveland in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I know it. We'll be with him. Dear Chief, I had all my teeth knocked out in an accident and must get some false teeth. Yeah. My wife saw me looking in the store window. I was trying to select some teeth and she pulled me away. Why did she do it? Signed, X-Nutcracker. Oh, my goodness. Dear X-Nutcracker, your wife was probably right in pulling you away from the store window when you were selecting your new set of teeth. She knows you must never pick your teeth in public. Each week, the Texas Company presents over a coast-to-coast network Ed Wynn, the fire chief, supported by a cast of more than 50 artists, including Don Voorhees, the Fire Chief Quartet, and Graham McNamee. Louis A. Whitten, speaking for the Texas Company, extends its invitation for next Tuesday at the same hour. Again, speaking for the Texas Company, may I remind you that if you haven't yet changed to winter-grade oil, now is the time to do it. Remember, summer-worn oil is not only the wrong grade for this time of the year, but it is probably thinned out, diluted, full of gritty road dust which can cause real damage to any engine. When your serviceman asks permission to drain it off, say yes. And whenever you hear the siren and bell, think of Texaco Fire Chief gasoline. The Texaco Fire Chief program came to you from the stage of the Cass Theater in Detroit over the facilities of the National Broadcasting Company. WEAS, New York.